Hi, I'm Kayla Adamek, and you're listening to the Step Over podcast.
From Ottawa West to the Hornets' Nest, it's the Step Over podcast, Ottawa's grassroots soccer podcast. Thank you so much for joining. My name is Josh, and that is the second time I've started a show with an Ottawa soccer rhyme. Will I do a third? We'll just have to wait and see. But obviously, I'm excited about this episode. If you stick around, you're going to get to hear my chat with Kayla Adamek. She plays professionally in Sweden. I had a really great chat with her, and she taught me how to say the name of the town that she is playing in, because I couldn't figure it out on my own. So I'm going to give it a shot here. Vittsjö. She plays in Vittsjö. I'm sure I still butchered that, but it's much better than it would have been thanks to Kayla. But before we get to that, not much going on in Canadian soccer, right? I heard the men's team qualified for some tournament. I'm sorry, what's that? Oh, the World Cup. Oh, wow, that's big. Billions of people watching, you say? Well, that is impressive. Okay. Yeah, that was definitely a, where were you moment for sure. Of course, qualifying for the first time in 36 years. And this is a big deal for the men's and women's program because there is going to be a ton of money coming to Canada Soccer, and just putting it out there, that should be, we want to make sure that benefits the men's and women's sides equally, because if we don't acknowledge the fact that the women's side has carried the Canadian program for the last 35 years, then what are we even doing here? So it's definitely going to be a windfall for Canadian soccer. Let's hope that I know we should automatically qualify in 2026 as well. But let's make sure that after that, we don't have to wait another 36 years. Now, in terms of news on Ottawa players, defender Zach Drake signed for Electric City FC. He had been playing with Las Vegas Lights FC of the USL. And if you haven't been paying attention to Electric City over in Peterborough, really interesting project they got there. They want to be in the CPL at some point, and they seem to be taking over Peterborough. A lot of really great excitement, a lot of grassroots growth, kind of word of mouth stuff happening with that club. So yeah, it's really going to be great to see Zach Drake being a part of that. And also GG's women's player, Haley Walsh, joined on the women's side. So there's some Ottawa connections to Electric City FC, and I'm definitely going to have to get down to Peterborough and see a game. Recently, we've also seen the first professional goal from Emma Lefebvre. Of course, Emma is a legend of the GG's women's soccer team. She's playing her first pro year with the Spartak Subotica in Serbia. So yeah, she got her first pro goal. So congratulations, Emma. And Ottawa's Clarissa Larissi just continues to score at will in the Scottish Women's Premier League for Celtic FC. And actually, in case you missed it, there's a recent game against Hibernian where Larissi had just a phenomenal goal, and it was aired on BBC Alba, and there was a great clip that got shared a ton on social media. If you don't know BBC Alba, it's like a mostly Gaelic BBC channel. So you're going to hear this call in Gaelic with some English commentary. Here's the clip.
Larissi is it going Shacha did line of who is Corum Scunnel Jech as no chicken is tail as a here village gonna game a short park Celtic I can show high Celtic aha a Geno Garsters Hill and Hoshach.
Oh, they'll be absolutely delighted with that one. That's the way they wanted to start the game and get the fans right up their backs. So yeah, I think it's came from the throw-in. There's been a bit of a mix-up at the back with the Hibs, but what a touch from Larissi to set herself up for that shot, and she'll be absolutely delighted.
Thanks to BBC Alba for that clip. So yeah, if you find the clip to actually watch it, just a really nice flick that Larissi made just over the Hibernian defender to herself, and then just slides it past the keeper. Continues to do really great things in Scotland, and definitely putting herself on the national team map. But I would expect that her value is going up, and that we're actually going to see her move, I would think probably just a little south to a club in England before she gets a national team call-up. So I'm wondering if that happens sooner rather than later. But she hasn't even been in Scotland a full year, so plenty of time for her to continue to bag some goals and pad that resume. And three other names I wanted to bring up. First was Moses Gafiro. He recently signed for Lansing City of USL 2. You might know Moses. He's been a standout player with the Ravens. So good luck to him at Lansing. Also, good luck to Elage Ba, who is a Futuro Academy product. A few weeks ago, he signed for Whitecaps FC 2. That's an MLS Next Pro. And lastly, I think someone who a lot of people were hoping would end up with Atletico Ottawa, Steph Karajivanovic. He was very recently signed to Toronto FC 2, also of MLS Next Pro. He was with HFX Wanderers last year and was a shot machine and also a Ravens legend. So it'll be very interesting to see how he does in that new Next Pro League. And now I can't wait any longer. We figured out the time difference. Here's my chat with Kayla Adamek from just before the start of the Swedish League. So we're chatting with Kayla Adamek, who recently signed in Sweden's top division. Now, before I start, I want you to know, Kayla, that I did look it up, and I tried to find out how to properly say the name of the town and the team that you play for now, and I couldn't figure it out. So rather than me try first and embarrass myself, my first question is, can you tell the good listener who you're playing for?
Well, I'm going to embarrass myself too, because I still have a hard time pronouncing
That's preferable for me. So,
but it's something like Vittsjö.
Okay. That sounds right. I just couldn't say it.
Yeah, I mean, my teammates will still make fun of me for it, but that's my best attempt.
Yeah, no, I found like a YouTube how to pronounce, and I was like, okay, that I don't think I can say that right. So I'd like you seem like you nailed it.
I hope so. Or I'll be hearing about it later.
Okay, so I am going to try with my next question. So how long have you been in Vittsjö?
It's just been 2.5 weeks now, so fairly new to the experience. Yeah.
Okay. Had you ever been to Sweden before? Before joining Vittsjö?
No, it's my very first time. So.
Okay, so what are your first impressions?
I really like it. I'm actually in a smaller town called Hasselholm, and it is probably in the middle of Sweden, and there's not much there, but it's very relaxing and quiet, and it's a good environment to really focus on soccer.
Okay. Yeah, like obviously you're focused on soccer, but have you had a chance to be a tourist there at all yet, or?
Not so much. We are still in preseason, so there's a lot of double days and stuff like that. But I did get the chance to go to IKEA.
Oh, wow. A Swedish IKEA. What's that like?
Yeah, it was good. It's everything I expected. So that was my first Swedish experience so far.
Okay, right on. So yeah, like what's preseason going like?
It's pretty good. I joined late because of I was working to get the visa and stuff. So it's been pretty quick transition, and we have our first game next week. So
what position do you play?
It's kind of undecided right now, but probably be anywhere along the line. So like a wide midfielder or a fullback. Like
in your career, have you kind of like bounced around from position to position, or have you generally played in like a certain area?
Yeah, growing up, I kind of jumped around a lot, but I was mainly a fullback. And then when I went to college, they transitioned me into a winger. So now I'm kind of doing full circle and playing a little bit of fullback and wide midfield now. Okay,
cool. Okay, so you're from Ottawa. So what neighborhood did you grow up in?
Center Point.
Okay. Did you have any like favorite spots to like hang out around there? Or did you get out of Center Point, whatever?
No, growing up, I have a brother who's a year younger than me. So we spent our summers always biking around the park. So that was basically where I spent my time.
So like, when did you first start playing soccer?
My parents put me in it when I was 4 years old. So very long time, 23 years now.
And like, was it something that you were always pretty good at, or did you have to like work pretty hard to get to the higher end?
I think I wasn't probably the most technical player growing up, but I think I had a lot of work ethic, and I think that kind of like brought me to where I am now, was the work ethic rather than the talent. So I definitely had to work for it.
When did you know that you wanted to start taking soccer like more seriously? Like there might be like a future for you in it.
Yeah, it was there was like a very specific moment growing up. We had like the regional programs. So it was Region 5 and it was under Mark Hearn. I've talked a bit about him in the past, but he was definitely someone that he brought me into a team that I probably didn't really deserve to be in, wasn't probably talented enough for, but I think he really believed in me when I didn't really think I didn't even deserve the opportunity. And, he believed in me before I believed in myself. And I think that that was the moment where it's like, wow, I can really do this. And it was in 7th grade where I knew like that I wanted to prove myself, especially for him, because he had all like this belief in me. And so, yeah, I didn't really look back since, and have been trying to, make a national team and prove myself and prove that he was right.
So yeah, I mean, 7th grade, that's still pretty young. Like, was there anything in particular that he said to you that, gave you the confidence in yourself that he clearly had in you?
It was more just like the respect that he gave me. I was like a younger kid, and he really did push me and didn't give me any chance to kind of like slack off or anything like that. And I think that that's like the most respect that a coach can give you is, really caring about you're caring about improvement and caring about who you are off the field. And that really stuck with me.
So you said that was a regional program that you went into. Was that something that that you got scouted to get brought into, or did you seek that out?
Yeah, it was just like a tryout within Ottawa to make this regional team, and I didn't really know what I was signed up for. But that was like basically the start to my career, because like after that it was provincials, and then the national training center, and that kind of got me to where I am now.
So you played your university ball for the University of Central Florida. Like, what drew you to that program?
At the time, I was a little late in the recruiting process, but I was just looking for, the best soccer school that could, get me to a professional level, get me on the national team. And that was the one that stuck out to me the most. And it was also in Florida, so I couldn't really complain.
Yeah, I mean, 4 years in Florida, that's not so bad. What was your experience there like?
Oh, it was the most amazing experience for me. Not only because of the soccer or like the academics, but it was just like the team culture that I loved, and that was like instilled by my coach, Tiffany Roberts-Haydak, and she had all this experience with team culture. Like she went to the World Cup, she won many gold medals, and I think that she brought the mentality that like the U.S. women's national team had into our group. And I think that's why it was such a special time for me. So
I wanted to ask about your path to turning pro, but I want to frame it by bringing to mind some comments that Rianne Wilkinson made recently. Like Rianne, she's a Canadian national team legend, soccer Hall of Fame, yes, now coach of the Portland Thorns. But she said that like if you're an up and coming player, like age 21 or so, and if you haven't made the Canadian women's national team, your career is over if you're Canadian. Like especially if you don't have a American or a European passport. So you managed to get through and like make a pro career. Like how did you manage to get that first pro contract?
It definitely wasn't easy. And, like Rian said, there's so many obstacles that, a Canadian without like a European passport or without like national team experience, there's a lot of obstacles that you have to go through in order to actually make it pro. So at the time, like once I graduated college, I was with Orlando Pride, just trying to wait for an international spot to open up. And, at the time there was 4 of them, and they were filled with players like Marta and whatnot. So I had to make the jump to Europe. And in order to do that, I had to go to a smaller club called Spartak. in Serbia, and from there I played like in Champions League and stuff, and then that's finally where I was able to get noticed and get into Europe, into better leagues in Europe.
So you often hear stories, about Canadian players being seen like a bit differently in Europe, like maybe having to fight a little bit harder for their spot because they're from Canada. Is that something that you've seen or like experienced yourself?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the recruiting process, it is more difficult if you don't have like a passport, because there's a lot of like visa issues to go through. Like, for example, like I had to show up a month late here just because I was waiting on the visa. So it's little things like that where maybe clubs may turn you down just for reasons like that, and not so much your soccer ability.
Yeah, I'm just curious because when I hear of those things, it's usually from players on the men's side, and like I'm curious if it's like there's cultural differences between the sport, between the men's and the women's side. Do you think that maybe Canadian women maybe just don't feel that prejudice? Like it's more a systemic issue in terms of like being in Europe, teams are going to give players from their own country, maybe if all things are equal, they're going to give those players from their own country the spot instead.
Yeah, and I think I'm sure you're probably going here, but this is definitely like a reason why we need a Canadian league or a Canadian NWSL team to really develop our players as well, and give a better opportunity for Canadians who are like still young growing up. And, like if we add a league now, it's like now they have something to strive for that I didn't have growing up. It's like I wanted to play in the MLS, and that wasn't going to happen. But that was like my dream because there wasn't a professional league growing up.
So you're right. That is exactly where I'm going with this. We all know that there's a huge need for a proper women's professional league in Canada. And like, I do think that's going to happen at some point, and like, hopefully it's soon. And like, when that does happen, being someone that's played in other countries' professional leagues, what are some takeaways that you think would be helpful to know for a new Canadian league, like do's and don'ts for a women's professional league?
I mean, I'm no expert with that, but I would definitely say, create like do it right the first time, because it has been hard sometimes, and really set up a really good environment where Canadians know they can go to and they can develop, and they're getting a really good experience out of it.
Like, you've been to a few countries now. Has there been any place where you thought that the infrastructure for the women's side was particularly strong?
Yeah, I mean, I've had an amazing 2 weeks here so far already, and it's been very different because the club cares so much about the person, and they're very respectful, and I think that is a huge part of why this team is so successful, because the players want to play here and they want to do well for their coaches, and I've seen that, and it's just been 2 weeks. So that's definitely something that if there were a Canadian league that they should probably prioritize, because it's been like an amazing 2 weeks already. So
I think there are a few other Canadian players playing in Sweden. Did you chat with any of them before going?
I actually didn't. But I knew beforehand that Sweden, they do treat their players really well, and I think that's why so many Canadians are actually here as well.
We talked about a pro league in Canada. Say that does happen in the next few years. Would playing in a pro league in Canada be of interest to you?
Yeah, for sure. If it's like a competitive league and everything's there for it to be successful, like it would be great to someday play in Canada as well.
Since turning pro, has there been anything that you've learned that you wish you had known when you were first starting out, that maybe would have made your life a bit easier?
Not so much made my life easier, but I think that I've learned so much from each team and country that I've played in. And, I think it kind of made like as a player, I've evolved and learned, like kind of grasped like each team's, way of play or like technical ability. And it's kind of like evolved me as a player as well, which has been really cool because if you asked, like, I remember when I was 16, like they said like the things that you needed to work on, and it was like technical ability, first touch into space. And it's like now looking back, like those are my qualities.
Okay.
And especially I think like playing in Europe, that has definitely helped as well.
Okay. So like if you were to describe yourself as a player now, do you think that like you would describe yourself differently than you would have when you first started?
Yeah, incredibly different. Like it's actually like I've flipped from, not flipped, but I used to be, like run with my head down straight down the field, and get that cross in. And now it's more like, playing in Spain and even Spartak prior, I've learned to move the ball and, play more technical, use my players. And yeah, so it's just been cool to learn from each experience that I've had here.
Okay, cool. In terms of like the national team program, like do you have communication with the program? Like you haven't been called up lately, but is there communication with the program?
I know that they're aware of me, and I know, there's a couple other Canadians that are within the national team, on my team right now. So, I know they're watching the video, and I just trust that when the time's right and, I've proved myself, maybe on this team or in the future, that the call will be there.
Well, my fingers are crossed for you. I just got a few quick questions for you. What's your favorite sport besides soccer?
Hockey.
Yeah.
Yeah. I grew up playing with my brother. And it was one of the tough decisions growing up because, when I went into like the provincial program, we spent my weekends in Toronto. So I had to quit hockey. So it was sad. It was a sad time, but I'm like so grateful, and I made the right decision in the end. So.
I mean, you're in Sweden, a pretty good hockey country. Do you think you'll like still get the chance to play a little bit while you're there?
That would be nice, but I gotta focus on soccer for now.
That's
but
fair.
Maybe if we get a break, yeah.
Do you have a favorite hockey team?
Growing up, it was the Habs.
Oh,
I know. No. I was a very.
You said growing up though, is it still the Habs?
Yeah, I would say so. What
right,
about you?
I'm a Sens guy, but it's hard right now. It's hard.
I know, that was my problem growing up. I was like, I wanted to be a winner, and I wanted to pick a team that was winning. So
really, you like neither team has really given you much option lately. So
no, that's true.
Did you have a favorite soccer team when you were growing up?
I would say like Man United kind of stuck out with me growing up. But right now I really do love watching the women's Barca team play.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, so what is it about them that like attracts you to them?
I just hated playing against them. They move the ball so well, and I think it's a good mix of like technical ability and speed and strength, and I think that it's so fun to watch, and they've been very successful as well.
And like it doesn't hurt that the quality of the broadcast for La Liga is quite good, on the women's side. Like I think One Soccer still carries it, and it's sometimes they don't, a lot of leagues don't give the like a very good production value to the women's side, but La Liga is quite good actually. It's very easy to just in terms of like the camera quality, and it's very easy to watch.
Yeah, and it was nice having One Soccer when I was in Spain because my parents could watch it on One Soccer, and it was pretty cool, I'm sure, for like kids growing up to be able to watch that kind of soccer as well.
Exactly, yeah. Who is your favorite player?
I would probably say Tobin Heath, just because of her skill.
What is the best soccer field in Ottawa? Like, was there any field where like you found that you were playing there and you're like, oh, good, it's that field?
I mean, I grew up sneaking into the Algonquin dome.
Oh, okay.
So that feels like home to me. Because I would like get out of school and try and, train in there and stuff. So it's just been home. And then after that, like playing with the Fury as well, that was our home field. So
Okay, so you say like sneaking in, was this like an after hours thing, or just like you kind of like walked in with a group and just hope you weren't noticed?
yeah, just like on my own, just to do like technical work and stuff. No, they knew I was there.
What's your favorite pastime off the pitch?
Recently I've been into yoga.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, just like recovery stuff. I'm big in like my degree was like sports science, so I'm big into human performance and stuff like that. So
Cool. Who has had the biggest impact on your career so far?
going back to like my 7th grade story, I would say Mark Hearn. But I've also been very fortunate to have really amazing coaches and my parents that have been so supportive. And it's like having people that care so much about me and my career is really what motivates me the most.
Who is the best player that you've ever played either with or against?
Probably Marta when I was in Orlando.
Yeah, they don't get much better.
Yeah, she's just awesome and so technical and so energetic. Like, so it was really awesome to play against her.
Because you said that you were training with the Orlando Pride, right?
Yeah. I did the last 2 years of college. Over the summer I was training with them, and then I did kind of a full-time gig after college.
Okay. Did you ever get the chance to like chat with her?
Yeah, just like here and there. She's usually just joking around. So
She seems like a pretty funny lady.
yeah, she's so energetic and always like playing sports and kicking a ball around. So.
Right on. What's your favorite food?
I'm big into Thai curry right now.
Oh yeah?
I'd have to say that or sushi.
Okay. Where is your favorite place to get a good Thai curry?
In Ottawa?
Let's say Ottawa, yeah.
I don't remember the name, but before coming here, I went to this one place and it was so good. I don't know. I'll have to let you know later.
Okay. Dogs or cats? Which is better?
Dogs.
It's the right answer.
100%.
Instagram or TikTok?
Instagram. I like more. Just because TikTok's so addicting. Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah, I think maybe, I'm not sure if it's an age thing, but I haven't figured out TikTok. Like when people send me videos, I'm like, I like this, but I can't figure out like actually just like browsing TikTok.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm not posting anything on TikTok or anything like that, but just scrolling. Yeah.
What's a fact about you or like an interest of yours that most people might not know about until they like really get to know you?
I mean, I grew up playing the drums.
Okay.
Yeah, but I wouldn't say I was any good.
Do you still get the chance to like drum?
No.
Okay.
I still have a set back in Ottawa in the basement there. So.
What do you hope to do with your post-soccer career?
I hope to still be involved in the sport. So whether that be coaching like a college team or, being on the sports science side, as long as I'm still involved in the game, that's all I really want.
Once again, I want to thank Kayla Adamek for joining. If you're a fan of the game, or especially if you're a player in Ottawa, that's someone you want to look up to. If there's one thing I've learned from talking with players is that, forging a career, especially one in Europe, coming from Ottawa, coming from Canada, it is so hard, and Kayla has done it. Really an inspiring player. So great to get her insight, and we're definitely going to have her back on at some point. As for me, that's it for this episode. Thank you so much for joining. If you have a moment, I'd appreciate it if you liked, subscribed, commented, spread the word about this podcast. If there's someone you want to hear on the podcast, if there's a topic you want to hear about, let me know. I want to hear. Someone wrote to me and said, there's a shortage of referees in the area. That's a major problem. So that's going to be an episode soon. So don't be afraid to reach out. But for this time, I'm calling it. I will see you later.